Hello to you all and welcome to our Darlingtown podcast, a monthly podcast where you can grab a coffee and join us to discuss what we love about our town at Darlington. We aim to highlight hidden gems within the area, whether they are businesses, walks, landmarks, things to do with the kids or visitor attractions. My name is Henry Carver and I'm joined once again by my brother and co-host Jim. Good morning.
Good morning, Henry. How are you today?
Yeah, very well. Thank you very much indeed. These are becoming a bit more regular than a monthly podcast, aren't they?
Yeah, well, every 2 weeks or something like that, which is good. And we've got a lot of exciting guests lined up over the coming weeks as well.
Absolutely.
I think, we're starting to be a little bit more professional, a little bit more organised about it.
You've been on an admin mission and you've been recruiting left, right and centre.
I've just been going and knocking on people's doors, introducing myself and saying, please, do you want to come on a podcast?
Absolutely.
And people have actually heard it.
No.
Yeah.
What, people have listened to it rather than just me and you?
Yep, absolutely.
Amazing.
So
yeah, we've been getting some fantastic feedback, haven't we?
Yeah.
So thank you very much indeed. So what have you been up to in the last couple of weeks? Anything exciting?
Well, before we get into that, just the last guest I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, Anthony
Hutton with, and again talking about mental health.
Yeah,
and I think he's got his retreat this weekend, St. Paddy's Day.
17th. That's right.
So are you going to go and jump in a lake and do some breathing?
Unfortunately, I'm away with my wife. We're having a night away in the Lake District.
Oh, very
so I say
good.
Unfortunately, I am obviously very, very grateful to be going away with my wife, but unfortunately I'll miss the cold water dip and the Never Throw in the Towel project retreat, which is on Sunday morning. So
cold water dips. Have you done any since? Have you turned have you turned the shower down cold?
No, I understand the benefits of it, but I tend to go to the gym first thing in the morning. That's my sort of, I don't know. That's my equivalent.
Stress relief.
Yeah, that's my equivalent cold water dip.
Yeah.
Go to the 6 o'clock gym session.
Yeah.
And then come back and I quite enjoy a nice hot shower.
Yeah. Can you ask me the same question, please?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. How about your cold water dips?
Well, I've been doing it every day since. Thank you very much. Although it's not actually that cold at the moment. It was about 9 degrees this morning, so it felt a bit too easy. So I think I need to get some ice blocks. Some ice in it. So yeah. It's not enjoyable, but it is a good way to start the day. So
does it? Does it give you a? I don't know. They say that it gives you quite a high, and that high is over quite a long period of time. Does that work?
Yeah, it does. Yeah? Absolutely. Yeah, better than coffee, definitely.
Better than coffee. But you still drink coffee as well.
I still drink coffee as well. Absolutely.
Probably to warm you up.
Pretty much. I mean, the first minute is pretty horrendous, and then it gets a little bit easier. Yeah. But I never know how long to be in for. Like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Don't know, don't care.
Just before you get too blue. And you've been away to London recently?
I was in Oxford yesterday for a Property Academy meeting, which was, really good, meeting with other estate agents from around the country, discussing all things we do in the property world.
Yeah, so fantastic. Yeah, I was down at Twickenham on Saturday for quite an impressive rugby match where England took on Ireland. Huge underdogs, but managed to pull out a drop goal to win the match.
What a game that was!
In the last play of the game.
What a game! I think the most exciting England rugby game I've seen outside of a World Cup.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
couldn't agree more.
And you met a double ganger at the end, didn't you?
A double ganger.
Double ganger, yeah.
He looks exactly like me.
Yeah,
cue picture
of Dan Cole, one of the most capped props for England.
Yes.
Over 100 caps, and Henry.
Yeah.
Identical.
Absolutely.
I actually cannot spot the difference.
Yeah, well, he called me over and asked for a picture, so I couldn't say no.
There we go. Yeah.
Very good indeed. And then, came back on the train Sunday morning. The kids and my wife picked me up and we went out for a lovely meal at Al Forno's.
It was Mother's Day, so you're away for Mother's Day?
Well, I was away for the first part of Mother's Day, yes.
Okay.
But the kids, I got pictures sent. The kids made breakfast in bed. They took an order, exactly what she wanted, brought her up some cereal, juice, and I think a donut or something or other.
Fantastic.
So she thoroughly enjoyed her morning.
Good. So brownie points.
Yeah, brownie points for the afternoon, taking them out for a meal, which is lovely.
Good.
Very much so. Usually I go on to a quiz question here, but I understand you've got one.
I do, and I thought it's probably better me.
Wait a minute. What did you do on Sunday?
Went for a run.
Yeah,
I did a race at Croft Circuit.
Yeah.
Which was probably the most boring 2.5 hours of my life. It was 10 laps of the 2 mile circuit.
Oh God, I couldn't think of anything worse.
So yeah, if you're not a running fan, even if you are a running fan, it does test you.
Yeah.
Just like boring terrain, just really flat tarmac on a racetrack, and go round and round and round.
I can't recall who it was that said it, but there was, I think it may be some troops from Catering did that race to basically mentally prepare them for, I don't know whether or not it was another race that they were doing or whether or not it was actually just a mental challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's probably more of a mental challenge, that race, rather than a physical one.
Yeah.
I would guess.
Yeah.
I mean, 20 miles obviously is a long way, but just to do 10 laps of a 2-mile circuit that doesn't really have much around it.
We just lost count, basically. But yeah, it was. I got it done, and then I went home and cooked roast lamb, which was very nice.
Very nice.
Got some brownie points. Right, so quiz question.
Yes.
So I'm doing the quiz question this week because it is about you, Henry.
Nice
and
one.
not just about you, but your
favourite subject.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so you should get this right. This is about your Instagram profile, henryc_property. So, question is, what's the highest number of views one of your reels on henryc_property has received? Is it A, 800,000, B, 1.1 million, or C, 1.4 million views? And we will answer that at the end of the show.
So today we have another incredible guest, Steve, the culinary genius behind the beloved catering van stationed in a lay-by at Low Conniscliffe, just outside of Darlington, known for dishing out delectable delights inspired by flavours from around the globe. Steve's van has become a must-stop destination for foodies near and far. Join us as we delve into the flavourful world of Darlington and explore the tantalising tastes Steve brings to the town's culinary scene. Good morning.
Wow, I didn't know there was going to be an intro like that, so that's a hard act to follow. But thank you. Pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for
really
coming in.
Can I ask the first question?
You just did.
That's the first question.
Okay, excellent. Can I ask the second question? Oh, there's another question, right?
Yes.
Who's Harvey? I thought you were called Harvey. How many times a day do you get called Harvey?
More than Steve.
Yeah.
A lot more people call me as Harvey than Steve, definitely. Harvey was a dog we had.
Oh.
Named after a dog.
Yeah.
We started Harvey's in 2013, late 2013, and did our first events with Harvey's in 2014.
Yeah.
So we're technically 10 years old this year, which is a bit scary.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Yeah, look old for 10, don't I? My name is Steve Chestnut. When I was starting a food-driven business, I didn't really want to use my name associated with the business. I thought if we called it anything to do with chestnut anything, it might infer that it was sort of just vegetarian, possibly. And we'd just recently lost a fantastic little family dog that we'd had, Harvey. So Harvey's was decided over the dining table at home, and it was one of those that it just had a nice ring to it. It didn't sort of chime as anything else other than one of our favourite names. So Harvey's was born.
Brilliant. What sort of dog was Harvey?
Jack Russell Terrier.
Jack Russell.
Yeah.
Big characters, those dogs.
Big character. He was very human-like.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a great little fella.
Oh.
Yeah, so always had a love for catering, food. What's your background?
He always had a love for food. Yeah. I don't maintain this on salad. I eat a lot of food. I've prepared a lot of food over the years. I've always been a chef.
Yeah.
Was born in London. My family moved down to Cornwall when I was about 3 or 4. Went through school, education, and went on to catering college down in Cornwall, and decided fairly quickly that unless I wanted to sort of make pasties seasonally or work in a restaurant or a bar or a kitchen somewhere down in Cornwall, which is very, very seasonal, beautiful place, but very seasonal, I decided that I'd take myself back up to London. So after catering college, I did a lot of applications to all of the places that, were on the map, culinary-wise. Your Ritz, your Savoy, all of your fancy top-class restaurants. And I got the typical, I suppose now, on reflection, looking back at it, come back when you've got a bit more experience letter back from a lot of them. So I got one letter back completely out of the blue from a company called Roux Restaurants, which was then owned by Michel and Albert Roux.
Wow.
They had a string of restaurants, and it was at a time where they'd branched out into the city of London and were opening something I'd never heard of at the time, which in all sort of food trends, they come back around. Sous vide catering, so boil in a bag, cooking food in a bag in a water bath, which has come back around very strong in recent years. So I took the invitation to go up to their restaurant head office in Wandsworth, and the lady who interviewed me said, well, you know, straight out of college, the only thing we can really offer you is in one of our sous vide restaurants. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. I want to work at the, you know, the high end of the Roux organisation.
You don't want to cook things in a bag, basically.
I didn't.
Want some flames?
I did. Yeah, flames and action and shouting and all the things that you thought you were going into. Yeah. And so I declined her offer of employment. Now, probably on reflection, that was a very foolish thing to do. But I declined the offer because I didn't want to do that sort of thing. And got back on the train, went down to Cornwall. About a month later, I got a telephone call from Roux Restaurants saying, we've had an opening in one of our restaurants as a third commie. So that's like, you know, bottom, very, very below the bottom rung,
peeling
really.
Potatoes.
Yeah, if you were lucky. But that was at the Waterside Inn, which was a 3-star Michelin restaurant. Wow. And I started there the following week. So I started there as the only English member of the team in a team of 27 chefs, and very, very quickly worked out that I was the whipping boy.
Yeah. They were all French, were they?
All French.
Yeah.
Completely French brigade.
And was it classic French
Very,
cuisine?
very, very. And this was nearly 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was when kitchens were, you know, I think the behaviour in kitchens was probably a little questionable, the discipline, et cetera, I always laugh and joke and say that it was sort of as close to being in the French Foreign Legion as you could be without being in the French Foreign Legion. So that was a bit of a baptism of fire. But bizarrely, I left there after 18 months, and I was the longest serving member of staff.
Wow. Tells a story.
Yeah, huge turnover.
You would have to pick up the language pretty quickly as well, I would have thought.
Well, you pick up a version of it. Yeah. Picked up a version. I learned lots of swear words very quickly, and all of the sort of common kitchen language that was required. They refused to speak to me in English.
Yeah, no doubt.
Why should they? I was in their world. Yeah. So that was how I started, and since then I've worked in 1, 2, and 3 Michelin star restaurants until I started Harvey's.
Fantastic.
Wow.
So it was a bit of a...
When did you move up to the northeast?
So I worked in Harrogate for just over 20 years for a family that owned a private country estate. And I ran the catering side. I started for the first 10 years on the estate. It was at Ripley Castle. For the first 10 years running the kitchens of an operation that had conference and banqueting facilities for up to 1,000 people, a 25-bedroom hotel, fine dining restaurant, pub, tea rooms, etc. And we employed about 120 staff, so it was quite a big operation. Ran that for the first 10 years on the food side of things, and then was invited to step in as the general manager on the estate, which I did for the next 10 years. Okay. So I left Ripley about 10 years ago, and we had family connections in Barnard Castle. Yeah. We were looking to move out of the Harrogate area just because we couldn't afford what we wanted to buy in the Harrogate area. You guys know the drill there. Yeah. So we looked in Teesdale, and I now live in Eggleston, and it's beautiful. Yeah, love it up there.
Yeah,
beautiful
so
spot.
we arrived in this part of the world about 10 years ago now.
Fantastic. Yeah. And you've been pretty well received, hopefully, by
massive. Yeah, it's tremendous.
Community.
Yeah, tremendous. So sort of when we first came up here, we were still doing everything that we don't do now with Harvey's. So it was a lot of pre-booked music festivals, food festivals, events that are pre-booked with a pitch fee, essentially, or a commission-based event. So that probably jumping forward slightly to the massive change that happened for everyone when it was COVID 4 years ago, pretty much. We started down in Low Conniscliffe pretty much 4 years ago, almost to the week.
Yeah.
And it was out of a need to do something because all of our events and everything in the diary, which we'd built up over sort of 6 or more years and had a really nice, good, strong diary, just hemorrhaged out straight away, and we had no events in the diary. Yeah. So it was like, what do we do next?
Yeah. Something that was born out of necessity has been pretty successful by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's been a very, very interesting journey, to say the least. We rocked up down there. I put a pin in the map at home and thought we're sort of anywhere between sort of half an hour, 45 minutes away. If we can do something, and I didn't know what that something was going to be at that point, but if we can do something that gives me some sanity, because after 6 weeks of doing nothing at home, I was climbing up the wall ready for like, gee whiz, what do we do now? Yeah. And also some income, because we had no events, no income, no nothing. And I was looking, I drove around the region for about 2.5 days, just looking at different places where I thought, well, what could I do? And I didn't really know what I was going to do. But at the time, everyone was talking about the fact that construction was going to continue through the lockdown. So opposite where I now trade was a building site that had just started. They were building 38 houses. Yep. That equaled about 20-ish builders most days. Yep. That we very quickly converted onto having breakfast, 10 o'clock's, lunch. Because, that was really something else. And also I picked that spot because I knew there had been a food trader there in the past, but there'd been a gap of about 6 or 8 months where there was no food trader there. And I was puzzled as to why. And I applied to the Borough Council for the pitch, not knowing whether they were still licensed or whatever. Anyway, I'm delighted to say the Borough Council were amazing and very, very supportive of what we wanted to do, and licensed us there straight away, and we got on with trading. You know the area. It's a popular start and stop point for dog walkers.
Absolutely.
Riverside walks, everything. It's a busy spot. Yeah.
And I know for a fact that people now come to you not just because they're passing, but actually that's their final destination. So they're coming to you for a reason, because...
It's amazing, really, because I think if we cast our minds back again, which 4 years ago, when places were getting closed down, locked down, restricted opening times and operations were very, very tricky for a lot of people, a lot of people didn't have many choices. So we were one of a few. And I think the levels of business that we were doing at the time were just off the scale. It was incredible. It was just like mind-blowing. And they'd queue down the verge, all sort of, remember the social distancing and all the rest of it, 2 meters apart down the verge. Then they'd leave a gap where the road comes into the lay-by. Then they'd start on the next verge down and queue up. And I've got photographs of it, and it's like, crazy. But anyway, when things started to relax and open back up again, I got a little bit twitchy as to what people's patterns would do from what they'd started doing and supporting us to when their favourite restaurant or pub or cafe or McDonald's or Greggs or whatever had been closed for all that period of time. When all of those restrictions were relaxed and people could open again, I thought, well, they'll all just migrate back to what they used to do. And it's just been incredible, the level of support we've continued to get from people in the area. It's been amazing.
Yeah. And a lot of that support comes from the food that you put out, and it's not just a bacon butty. Talk to us about the food that you...
I think I would go round the twist if I had to just do bacon butties and sausage butties all day, every day. Yeah. I think what's happened down there is that we've made a mark because I think we've bucked the trend of what people expect to see on the roadside. And I don't ever want to be the regular white box caterer on the side of the road that just knocks out the cheapest gear they can at the highest price they can. That's not what we're about. We source the best quality ingredients. We do daily specials. Again, when we got down there very quickly, I worked out that there was more than just a breakfast trade. We started the first week with just doing a nice breakfast trade, something a bit different, a few sort of brunchy type breakfast dishes. And very, very quickly it was obvious that there was a lunch trade there as well. Yeah. And the lunch specials that we do just have a great reaction with folks. So just trying to, do things that are a little bit more inspired and interesting for everyone, but also for me.
Yeah. So what are the specials this week? Have you got those?
What do you fancy?
Yet?
I haven't finalised them. I haven't finalised them all yet. There's a few in the pipeline. I did one 2 weeks ago, which was a new one, which was met with really very, very positive feedback. So that one's coming back on this week. That's a Spanish chicken with Andalusian sausage and caramelised. He's drooling already.
That sounds good.
Sounds amazing.
With caramelised peppers, onions in like a tomato relish. So that's a popular one. That's overloaded fries.
That's overloaded fries.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is it a wrap or something? So
no. Then we're doing another new one this week, which is a pulled pork burrito with some Mexican fries, just a little side order of fries. We try and make all of our specials as much of as a complete meal as we can.
Yeah.
And just try and keep it interesting.
Yeah, where does your inspiration from the actual menu come from? I mean, have you travelled to these places? Have you tasted it in those locations?
I've never been to Mexico.
No.
I've been to Andalusia.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've like I say, I've cooked all my life.
Yeah.
I'm still very, very passionate and turned on with food. I just love it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a moment in a day, or certainly not a minute in a day, where I'm not thinking of different food things, either things I want to eat or things I want to cook, or a combination of the two. Yeah, so I'm always thinking food.
Yeah. You mentioned before about quality ingredients. Where do you source your ingredients from?
So I try and keep as local as I can. I use a few local butchers in Barney, and I've just got to shop around and try and get the best deals you can, because as everyone knows, prices are always on the up. We're never talking about prices of anything, let alone food, coming down. We try to keep the price point of what we do as sharp as we can, because I'm very aware of the fact that we're in a lay-by on the edge of Darlington. We're not, we're not a luxury facility that's got a, dining room, etc. So I try and keep the price point as sharp as we can. So it's all about shopping clever, and
that shows in the sign you've got about your coffee.
Yeah.
What does that say? I thought when I saw that last week, it was very funny.
We get the sign you're referring to says something along the lines of no posh coffees or fancy infusions, just good old Yorkshire tea or Nescafe.
Yeah.
I decided very quickly when I was fitting out the trailer that we trade out of, because we cook on gas completely. I have no generators. A lot of the events that we used to do wouldn't allow you to have your own generator. They would rather charge you £80 to £100 a day to hook up to their electric. So I decided very quickly I didn't want a share of that. So I'm completely self-sufficient with gas for all of my cooking. It's very, very time-consuming to make what I would call posh coffees, nice, fancy coffees, lattes and all the rest of it. We still get asked quite frequently for them and politely say, have a look at the sign. That's our take on coffees. We really take our food seriously, but we don't serve posh coffees. So it's a time thing. Yeah. You almost need one person there to be doing just the coffees, because it's quite labour intensive and time consuming. So that's why we took the stance on our fancy infusions and posh coffees.
Brilliant. And you've got other motivational signs around the place as well?
Yeah, there's a few bits and bobs that people comment about. Often people photograph them and say it's nice that, I think there's just a few things that, I don't know, I read things sometimes and feel happy inside about maybe what I've just read, or inspired by something that I've just read. And I think if something makes me feel like that, I'd like to share it with people.
Yeah. But can I just say, any time I've been, you've always given the best welcome, and I think that makes a big difference as well.
I think, I've been in hospitality all my life, so for the 20 years at Ripley, a lot of my time was sort of customer facing, and I've been very, very fortunate over the years to eat in most of the, what people might call top restaurants in the country. Yeah. And I think you don't necessarily have to be in a top restaurant to get fantastic service. Yeah. And I think, sadly, fantastic service, and I'm not saying we give fantastic service, but if I experience what I call fantastic service, it stands out now. Yeah. There's so much mediocre or below mediocre service, and I think if something as good to fantastic service stands out, then people remember it.
And they'll come back and they'll tell their friends.
You know, I think if you're in it, whatever you do, whether it's selling property or selling sausages, and anywhere in between, if you're nice to people, they're generally pretty nice back.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a nicer way to carry on.
Yeah.
I do this for fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's a living, it's a job, it's a whatever. But if the day I stop enjoying it, I'll stop doing it.
Yeah.
What are your opening hours in the lay-by?
Well, during lockdown, they were 7 days a week until the queues had gone. Yeah. And we then settled back down to doing 5 days a week. And then just over, about 18 months ago, I broke my femur and ended up taking 3.5 months out of work just because it was a nasty old complicated break. And then when I went back to work in mid-January, I was sort of ready to get back to work and physically felt strong enough, etc. It was still the middle of January. It was still a bit icy, slippery. I thought I'll just go back 4 days and do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you know what? I absolutely love having those 3 days at the front of the week. It's just nice to have those 3 days together. They're not 3 days off. Sometimes on those 3 days, I'll get called in to do a podcast or something, or do my shopping for the week, or my orders, or catching up on different things for work. So you know, it's a sort of 1.5 days off and 1.5 days prepping ready for the week. Yeah. But it's nice to have those 3 days together. So I've just stuck to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 till 2.
And you'll be there. What time do you get to the pitch?
I pull into the lay-by at about 6:30.
Yeah.
Because I get fresh deliveries there 4 days a week now as well.
Amazing.
So I get my bread delivery, some fruit and veg dropped off. So they're there for anywhere between 6:30, 6:45. So I'm always there in good time. I say I'm ready for 8. I have regular people coming through from about 7:15.
Yeah.
And if I can serve them, I'm ready to rock and roll, I will. Yep. I don't say I'm ready by 7:30 and open at 7:30, because then they'll start coming through at 6:30.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we say we're open from 8, but we're always ready to receive.
Fab. And do you still do any outside events or any sort of private catering?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. That's another a change that has really, really been incredible. So we used to spend the early part of any of our calendar year setting up our diary ready for the rest of the year. So in the sort of January and February, you wouldn't do many events, but you would be setting up your diary for the rest of the year. Now we're getting, I would say, at least 4 inquiries a week to us. Will you come and do this event for us, with us? And I consider myself incredibly fortunate to now not have to go out and sort of source the events. They're coming to us, and that's incredible. That's an absolute treasure of a thing to have landing on you. We do a lot of corporates. We still do corporate events. I've got 2 units. The one that everyone sees down in Low Conniscliffe, but I've got one that's pretty much the same. It looks very, very similar. Same dimensions, same kit inside. And we go off and do private events with that when we're not at the lay-by. We can double up and do things on the days that we are at the lay-by. I've got someone else that will step in there, or depending on what the event is, I might have someone, I'll meet them at the unit and do it, after we finished at Low Conniscliffe. We do a lot of corporate stuff as well. We've got a big corporate job on next week. We did a fantastic job not so long ago for Hayes Travel. Served 600 of their staff at their head office over a 2-hour period, which was some going. That was really operating at full power, full capacity, full tilt. So that was really amazing. But those 600 jobs don't come along awfully often. But we just sort of now pick the events that we really want to do and we can do to the best of our ability.
Going back to your pitch at Low Conniscliffe, how important do you think that specific location was to your success that you're experiencing now? If you decided to go elsewhere, do you think you would still have the following that you've got?
Oh, $1 million question. I don't know. I think there's a few geographical positives about being where we are. I have had people said to me, "Oh, you've landed on a little gold mine here." Well, it wouldn't be doing well if we were serving rubbish food.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can have the best location in the world.
Yeah.
And I know in your game, everyone says location, location, location.
Yep.
And yes, it helps. If we were out in the middle of the North Yorkshire moors and we didn't have everyone walking past, then it might be slightly different. But I think it's what we're doing and how we do it is possibly the biggest part of it rather than location.
That's exactly what Veronica from the pasta shop said. We were discussing her specific location
Absolutely, yeah.
a couple of podcasts ago, and she said, whatever it is, as long as you have the product that people like, people will travel.
Yeah, they'll travel, and hopefully, if they like it and it's the right price point and it offers value for money, we won't necessarily always be the cheapest.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say I don't think I'll be beaten on quality.
Yeah.
Quality of ingredients that we buy is massively important to me. Massively important. And, people are very discerning. We've all become far more discerning with what we want, whether it be dining out at a nice eatery or grabbing something on the hoof as you go past Low Conniscliffe lay-by.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else from yourself?
No. Before we started the podcast recording with you, we asked a question to the listeners, which we do every week, which is a property-related question. So we're going to ask you the same. It is multiple choice, so don't panic. So this question was about Henry and about his social media. So the question is, what's the highest number of views one of the reels on Henry C_property has received? So these are sort of property tours with some funky drum and bass music or something along those lines. Is that about right?
Absolutely.
So the options are, we've got A, 800,000 views, B, 1.1 million views, or C, 1.4 million views.
Right. I've not seen any of these videos, so I'm going to go for the highest one.
Highest one, 1.4.
1.4.
Which is
correct.
Well, there we go.
Property was it, Henry? Can you remember?
Yep. It was a detached property over in Winfield, £295,000, and it sold off market to someone who saw the reel. So.
There you go, it works.
So it works. So the power of social media.
Incredible.
I mean, we're in the right place here at HubSpoke Media. There you go.
Absolutely.
And the team, they're doing a great job. But you use social media, obviously, on a daily basis.
Yeah, we use Facebook twice a day, really, at least. And there's a site called Rate Your Restaurant, which through lockdown gathered massive numbers of people that were, I guess, keen to grab a takeaway and know where was the best place to go. It's a bit misleading, really, Rate Your Restaurant for what we do in a lay-by down in Darlington. We're not a restaurant, but it's incredibly powerful. I think they've got over 22,000 followers now, and they're all people that have signed up to be interested about what's going on the food scene in the area. So they're a warm audience anyway. Yeah. So as soon as you tell them what you're doing for the special for that day or that week, you get interaction, and within minutes sometimes of putting stuff on there, you've got people beating a pathway to the door saying, "I've just seen this on social media. Can I get this for my lunch, please? It looks amazing." Or, so it's incredible. I just wish I understood TikTok a little more.
You're looking at the wrong
guy.
Steve.
I don't understand it.
You are in the right place.
Yeah.
Well, Spudman down in Tamworth. 92 million views or something.
Amazing.
Per reel.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is it's a different world.
Yeah, didn't it just?
I've dabbled in TikTok, but no, more on Instagram. But it's all a different language, to be honest. It's like you being in the kitchen with the French chefs. You've got to learn
Different
the language. And then you've got to try and just make your way through the best you can. Yeah. That's sort of how I'm finding things anyway. What's next for yourself and for Harvey's?
Much of the same, really. We're looking forward to. We've got quite a lot of pre-booked stuff that you talked about before, commercial stuff, private event catering coming up this year already in the diary, and more of the same down at Low Connie, and just trying to keep everyone fed and watered on the outskirts of Darlington where we are. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and we're still very, very busy. So we're just going to keep on pushing with what we're doing.
Fantastic.
Trying to do our best.
Good. Marvellous stuff. Well, that's been around about half an hour, I think. It's absolutely flown. So, yeah, thank you very much indeed for coming in. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. And,
thank you for having me
I
again.
can't wait to come and taste. You say the chicken?
That's tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow?
Yeah.
There you go. You will see
Spanish chicken.
You will see us there.
Then the burrito.
And then,
That sounds good.
I think I might hold out for the burrito. I think that's brilliant stuff. Thank you very much indeed.
Take care. Lovely to see you.
Cheers.
Cheers.